Hey everybody, Rev Rick with you, and this is the Broadman Word, September 8th, 2020. I want to talk to you today about keeping Jesus in his proper place. A lot of misinformation out there, a lot of choices out there, a lot of people pulling you in different directions with their various ideologies. It's easy to let our firm grip on where Jesus should be in our lives slip. We could also very dangerously end up with the suggestion box Jesus, because there are so many theologies out there, and Christianity is sometimes runs up against modern ideas and modern theology. So what we end up with is, if we're not careful, a sort of lessening of the message. The word becomes not quite the word. It becomes a good idea or something maybe you want to do, but in practice, you end up with a Jesus who's more advice than command, or more suggestion than teaching. So you end up with the suggestion box Jesus, and that's not going to work. He will be nothing less than the sovereign Savior and King. Let's take a look biblically from Psalms how the law should be looked at. I'm gonna read to you from Psalm 119 right now, and it gives us a pretty good idea of how we should view this. The law of the Lord is perfect, reviving the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. The precepts of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes. The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. The rules of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than gold, even much fine gold. Sweeter also than honey, and drippings of the honeycomb. Moreover, by them is your servant warned. In keeping them, there is great reward. Oh, how I love your law. It is my meditation all the day. Your commandment makes me wiser than my enemies, for it is ever with me. I have more understanding than all my teachers, for your testimonies are my meditation. We can see pretty clearly from the psalmist the role that the law at that time, because we didn't have the New Testament yet, but the actual law of God was to be so valued. Well, now we do have the New Testament. We have the teachings of Jesus Christ, and he came to fulfill many things. God's law then shouldn't be considered a curse. It's a grace. God's law isn't a burden. It's a gift. It's a gift of his love. Immediately after redeeming his children from the slavery of Egypt, God took them to Mount Sinai to give them his law. That should be pretty telling. That is the first thing that happened to the Israelites after they were released from their bondage. They were redeemed by God. He took them to Mount Sinai to give them his law. He did this because they were the children of his love, and they were the objects of his redemptive glory. As your creator, he knows you. He knows the world you live in. He knows the situations you face, and he knows the plans that he has for you. So because he knows all of these things, he is infinitely more qualified to set the boundaries of your life and your living than you are, or any outside theology, and certainly more qualified than any media figure, athlete, or politician. He is your sovereign Savior and King, not a suggestion box Jesus. One of the sad and most destructive desires of the sinful nature is that of self-rule, the desire to have self-rule. You know, one of the dark delusions of sin that causes us to fall into these traps points to the buy-in into the insane thought that somehow we or some other natural human being has a better idea than God's revealed will for us to live by. That there is some more enlightened place that you could get to, that there is some more effective theology for your life, that there's some truer or more loving message out there. And it comes from the sin of desire of self-rule, because we don't like to be confined by anything, and we certainly don't like to be told what to do. These are not easy things for us humans. Pridefulness has a tendency to get in the way. So what we end up with then is searching for alternatives, either purposefully or by accident, a slow fade, if you will, as the Casting Crown song once said. And you end up with that very suggestion box Jesus that can't be. There is no place for that kind of rule in your life. He either has to be your Lord and Savior and thus true, or he's not. There's not a plan B or a gray area or something where you can insert worldly ideas or worldly theologies. In Isaiah 55, we learn that our thoughts are not his thoughts and our ways are not his ways. His are in fact higher than ours. So we can't be smarter than God. There's no way for us to know how we should live other than to live by his revealed will, his supernatural revealed will to us. His grace works in hearts of submission, and if your heart belongs to this world in any fashion, it can't be submissive to God's will, because there's no provision for that. The provision of the world is for self-rule, self-determination. And so when you let worldly ideas and opinions and thoughts into your heart, there has to be room for it. And that room was previously occupied by God's supernatural grace and love and his ideas, his thoughts, his revealed will. And of course, we have no ability to serve two masters, so one of these is going to win. And fortunately, it's up to you which one is going to win, but one is going to win. So the submissive heart that esteems his authority and finds joy in his law is going to be the truly pure heart, have the true love, have the true joy that surpasses all understanding, because it's not following anything of this world that could be grieved. It is following the true supernatural joy that comes from being a follower of Jesus Christ, a child of God, and all of the blessings that are entailed in that. So I would ask you during this time to very carefully consider what you associate yourself with, and very, very carefully consider what it is you say and how it is you act, because these are true tales of your heart. Whatever you do and whatever you say is in fact your witness, and that witness comes from your heart. And so when we see things as not lined up with the Word, not lined up with the biblical revealed will of God, then it starts to lead to the belief that perhaps Jesus isn't in the right place in your life. And I encourage you to reach out to your brothers and sisters for help, for accountability, and for love, to not end up with a suggestion box Jesus, because that advice is just that. It's advice. It's not loving, and it's not true. I love you. I appreciate all of you. I hope this does something for your life, and I will see you next time. Be blessed.